gluten-free diet. First, people with celiac disease. Celiac disease is a genetic autoimmune disease to the gluten protein that leads to damage to the small intestine. This damage leads to the villi not functioning properly, which means that nutrients cannot be absorbed.
If you are able to find flattened villi and you have the antibodies, then you have a working diagnosis for celiac sprue.
Approximately 1 in 100 people have celiac disease, and there are over 300 signs and symptoms that can vary for children and adults. Common symptoms include abdominal pain and bloating, chronic diarrhea, constipation, fatigue, weight loss, frequent headaches, and many more. Other people who go on a gluten-free diet are people with non-celiac gluten sensitivity. Those individuals cannot tolerate gluten and experience symptoms similar to those with celiac disease, but they lack the same antibodies and intestinal damage as seen in people with celiac disease. There are also people who go on gluten-free diets who think it's healthier. They might say, "I'm trying to lose weight," or "I'm on a diet." But what those people don't know is that a gluten-free diet is actually not healthier and not very effective for losing weight, which will be discussed later. There can be long-term health effects for those with celiac disease who go undiagnosed or who do not follow a gluten-free diet, because there is no cure except to follow the diet. Those long-term health effects may include iron deficiency or anemia, early onset osteoporosis, infertility and miscarriage, vitamin and mineral deficiencies, lactose intolerance, dental defects, and obesity, among others.
These health consequences are due to the fact that nutrients aren't being properly absorbed in the small intestines. So the sooner someone gets diagnosed with celiac disease and goes on a gluten-free diet, the sooner the small intestine damage can be reversed and these comorbidities can go away.
The amount of time it takes to reverse the damage varies between children and adults.
Some people with gluten sensitivities can tolerate a small amount of gluten, but overall, for both people with allergies and sensitivities, the best way to feel better is to completely eliminate gluten. There is no other cure currently. Now, there are products marketed that contain glutenase, which is an enzyme that is supposed to help digest gluten, and a couple of these products include Gluten Ease, Digest Gluten Plus, and Gluten Cutter. However, these supplements should be avoided because there have not been studies that prove its safety or effectiveness. As we already mentioned earlier on our poster, that a lot of the food sources that contain gluten are grain products. Specifically, whole grains contain fiber and many vitamins and minerals, which are linked to a reduced risk of coronary heart disease, cancer, diabetes, obesity, and other chronic diseases. But refined grains are usually enriched or fortified with vitamins and minerals as well. So following a gluten-free diet means getting rid of the benefits that whole grains and other grain products provide. Gluten-free flours, which are typically made from rice flour, tapioca starch, or potato starch, are not enriched or fortified, so someone can actually develop nutritional deficiencies while on a gluten-free diet if not supplemented or consuming other foods that contain these vitamins and minerals. Also, it was already discussed that one of the reasons people go on this diet is to lose weight, but a gluten-free diet in reality is not that effective for weight loss compared to other alternatives.
Most food products labeled gluten-free are often even worse for you. They're higher in sugar and even higher in high glycemic flours and weird food products. I often see patients who will switch from cupcakes and cookies to gluten-free cupcakes and cookies and wonder why they aren't feeling better or can't lose weight. Well, I hate to break it to you, but gluten-free cupcakes and cookies are still cake and cookies. In fact, a lot of these products are even worse than their counterparts. Why? Well, they're often filled with sugar. And when you replace regular wheat flour with the gluten-free flour, it often has a worse effect on your blood sugar than even wheat does, which is already pretty bad. Now, various forms of sugar and highly processed gluten flours are the most common ingredients used to replace gluten. Next, gluten-free foods are filled with other stuff. They're filled with preservatives and weird ingredients that are usually pretty nutrient deficient. Gluten-free junk food is still junk food. You see, food companies add artificial sugars, food coloring, gums to make it stick together. When you take out the gluten, which is like glue, you have to put in other stuff. And these additives and these products are used to increase the shelf life. They're used to make them stick together, but they can have serious health consequences, including things like leaky gut, which leads to more food allergies. Even things like brown rice flour or quinoa flour, they sound so healthy and good, but they're also really refined and they act like sugar in the body.
It's important to note that when we're talking about the gluten-free products, we're talking about the packaged foods, so breads, pastas, waffles, a lot of sweets, so muffins and cakes, things like that. That is what is going to be less nutritious because there are fruits and vegetables that are naturally gluten-free. So in terms of that aspect, it's not that the diet is entirely bad. It's just if someone who has celiac disease or has a sensitivity wants to eat something that would normally contain wheat, white, or any sort of flour along those lines, and they have to get an alternative product, those are the products that are not that healthy. So if someone wants to lose weight, they should just focus on getting rid of those refined, highly processed foods that happen to contain gluten instead of completely eliminating all foods that have gluten. So a well-balanced diet and exercise is going to be the better option instead of going on this fad gluten-free diet.
Not only is it important to realize that the gluten-free diet isn't necessary for people that have no problems with gluten, but to recognize that it's not just a diet change for those with celiac disease and gluten sensitivities, but it's a lifestyle change. They have to be more conscious of their environment to avoid cross-contamination, which can happen in restaurants or at home. It's not enough to have gluten-free options on a menu. The food has to be prepared properly, so in separate pans, fryers, using separate utensils. The same applies for at home because new appliances are most likely going to have to be bought if they're living with other people and having containers with food that's not contaminated. So these struggles may be overlooked when a diet is being glorified by people who don't have celiac disease or gluten sensitivities. So next time when you or someone you know wants to change their diet to feel healthier or lose weight, removing gluten from your diet is not the answer.